All right, everybody, we are back again for another episode of the Coach's Compass. Again, don't know what episode this is because we just continue to roll, continue to bring on cool guests from all over the world so you guys can continue to learn from some of the best in the game. It's your boy, Coach Coop, reporting live from USA. Now, remember, hit that like, subscribe, comment button down below so we can continue to have this thing grow and continue to bring on cool guests all across the world. But we got our boy, Coach Michael, right? He is the owner of Iron Mountain Barbell. He has a master's in physical education, BS in science. He has 8+ years of coaching. As a strength and performance coach, he is dedicated to helping his clients achieve their fitness goals and reach their full potential. With a passion for fitness and years of experience in the industry, he specializes in designing personalized workout plans that focus on improving strength, power, speed, and agility. His training programs are based on the latest research in the exercise science and tailored to meet the specific needs and goals of each individual client. Whether you are an athlete looking to improve your performance or someone who wants to get into shape and lead a healthier lifestyle, he is committed to helping you succeed and transform your body and mind. So, Coach Michael, thank you for being here today and welcome,
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, appreciate you having me on. This is awesome. This is really cool.
For sure, bro. So, first, man, like, what's separating Coach Michael from the rest of the coaches in this industry and helping you achieve success?
Man, I don't know if it's necessarily separating me or anything like that. I don't really try to focus too much on what other people are doing. I try to learn, from the smart people, from people who I think are doing good stuff, like what are they doing, why are they doing it, then really start to dive in how they're helping athletes, stuff like that. And then just trying to, refine it, make it my own, within the context of the kids that I'm working with and that kind of thing. I think one thing is I'm always open to learn new things, to maybe change my view on something that I maybe thought differently of in the past. Never gonna think that I know everything, because I don't. And you kind of learn that along the way. You think you know everything when you're like 20 years old, when you first start, like I did. And then you're like, oh shit, I don't really know anything. And then you continue to kind of like ride that out. And like, I know less and less and less. But I think that's, what really starts to make me better, more comfortable, more confident, when I'm working with people, is always striving to learn and implement.
For sure, man. But like 8+ years in the industry, what got you started and what got you, interested in being in the strength conditioning sports performance field?
Yeah, so when I was in college, I was actually pretty lucky I had known my academic advisor since I was like a little kid. She knew me since I was like playing youth sports. She was one of my older sister's mentors at Idaho State. I thought I was going to be a physical therapist when I was in college. That's what I thought I was going to do, getting, through my generals. And I was sitting in her office one day and she just looks at me. She's like, you're going to hate physical therapy. And she just like told me straight up. She knew me better than I knew myself at 18 years old, which was really, really cool, but really valuable. And she's like, it's too slow for you. She's like, Michael, you've played sports your whole life. You want to work with athletes. I know you want to work with athletes. She's like, if you're a physical therapist, you might work with the occasional athlete, kid blows his knee out. But if you're in a physical therapy clinic, you're going to be working with a lot of old women who fell, hurt their hip. She's like, it's too slow for you. You won't like it. That same day, she called up Idaho State's strength coach. They needed an intern. Walked across campus, walked into the Jared Allen Strength and Conditioning Center at Idaho State. It was just supposed to be a semester internship. I was there for like 2.5 years. They didn't have an assistant strength coach at the time. So I kind of filled that role as a student. And again, didn't know anything, but I kind of got thrown into it, and it's kind of just going ever since.
Man, but the internship side of things, what was that essentially like? Because I mean, a lot of our coaches, coming from the European side of things and kind of wanting to be more involved in the college athletics, how did that play a role into like what you're doing now, and what did you learn from then, and what was it like to kind of, I guess, be humbled and take a back seat and kind of just like do a job that's not paid really ever?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that I really got from it, and I didn't know I was getting it at the time, but I was a quiet, shy kid, very, very introverted. And I mean, I got thrown into it. Like I said, there was the head strength coach and then me. And so, I mean, I had like some lower level teams to myself right out of the bat. I had cross country, I had women's tennis to myself. Again, I think I was like 19 years old when I started this. So, and I'm going to class with these kids at the same time. So, like, I've got to command the floor, talk to them, be able to go out of my way, talk to them. It was something that I was not comfortable with at all. And I kind of had to get thrown into it. And so for me, that was super valuable. It wasn't really what necessarily like the teaching the exercise. I liked working out ever since I was a little like younger. My dad worked out, took me to the gym with him. That part of it, I kind of just I gravitated towards. It was actually talking to people, teaching it, implementing it, and like communicating. Not only exercise, but just like me and you talking right now. Like I wouldn't have been able to do this back then. I would have freaked out. And I think that was one of my biggest takeaways. Obviously, just the connections working with like high level athletes. That part of it was cool. You realize like some of them don't really necessarily like the weight room performance side of it. They just want to like the basketball players, man. They just want to go play basketball. They did not like that they had to be there 3 times a week, but you kind of just like again try to build that connection, get them to understand a little bit of the value of why they're there, and then go from there. But yeah, working in that field, like especially for the time that I was there, it showed me I didn't really want to do that. The college, strength and conditioning route is cutthroat. The person who brought me on, as soon as the football coach got fired, they were fired, and I kind of learned very quickly like that's kind of how it goes. And as I, have got older, have kids now and stuff like that, I just realized like I didn't want to be bouncing around the country, kind of tied to the success of what maybe like a football program might be. And so,
Yeah, I mean it's that college world, especially now. Like we look at
yeah,
nowadays with NIL deals, transfer portal, and all that stuff. Like it's hard to get to one program and stick there for a long, especially if you're
yeah,
not that not even the head guy. You're just
yeah,
hoping that the head guy that you came in with brings you along to somewhere else, or some other team calls you up and like wants you in. Even in the professional sector, it's even
yeah.
hard. But how was it to navigate, you know, through this whole landscape and then kind of get to a point to where you open up your own business and kind of now you're building the success of that? Like how, what was the learning curve like? You know what I mean? Because it you go from being in the college sector that all right, you got a salary paid for you and everything, but now you got to worry about rent, your overpay, like bringing in clients, like all these different type of things. What's it been like for you?
Again, it's just kind of thrown into the fire, and I think that kind of it helps me. I mean, I started this. My son was just born when I kind of officially started on my own, and I didn't really have an option but to kind of make it happen and then figure the rest out as I go. And going back to getting thrown into the weight room, that was good for me. I didn't have time to think about all the things that could go wrong. I just had to focus on like, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? What's making me successful? And then, just continuing that into venturing out on my own. I started out in a 2-car garage in like my front lawn. When I started this out, I mean, I've got videos of kids like sprinting in my yard and on the sidewalk and stuff like that. It's just kind of continued to grow. But I mean, if I never would have started, if I never would have took that initial chance, bet on myself and like, man, I think that I kind of know what I'm doing. I think I'm kind of good at what I'm doing, and again, continue to progress. If I wouldn't have, at least started, like I wouldn't know, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And I think, that mindset of just self belief, believing in yourself, betting on yourself, it's kind of been my story throughout, because there's been multiple instances throughout my journey so far that it's just kind of I've had to take a chance on myself. And then as you do that, you kind of show yourself you are capable of these really, really hard things. And that's cool.
What are like talking about those challenges and stuff? What are some challenges that you are facing, with running your own business and betting on yourself? Like, what are some things that you face on a day to day basis that that you've had to overcome, and how do you like push yourself? Because you can always get in a rut, like to a downfall, to like you're like, man, is this really made out for me? And
Yeah.
like trying to think like, what is like, am I doing the right thing? That imposter syndrome. How do you overcome that stuff?
Yeah, I mean there's definitely times where you're just like kind of like, man, what am I having that impact? Like am I changing lives? And um I'm pretty lucky. Like right now I'm in a very small community, and so I don't know if I don't know if I would have this if I was in a bigger area where I get to connect on these with these people on like a deeper level. Like I know their family members, I know their cousins, I know their grandma. Like I train some of their moms and grandmas, and like that to me that's pretty cool. Getting to impact them, being a part of their lives, not just like, hey, I go work out with Michael. It's like Michael comes to my graduation party or you know, he's going to show up to my events and not for any other reason than he just like wants to watch me compete. And like, I think that's pretty cool. I don't know if it, like, I mean, if I was in a bigger area, so I'm in Idaho and very small town. So if I was in like Boise, I mean, if I was working with kids from like 17 different schools, I don't know if I'd be able to, you know, go to all of their events. But like with these kids right now, I'm able to, you know, if it's basketball season and I've got like my boys and girls at 3 different schools playing, like I'm able to just watch it, you know, one on my phone, one on my computer, one on my TV, see all my kids playing at one night. Like if I was in a bigger area, I wouldn't necessarily be able to connect with them and show them that, you know, I'm invested in them just as much as they're invested in me. That part of it is always super rewarding. Like some of those messages that come back down the road, I'm like, it's not necessarily like it's what I did on the field or court. It's like the parents that tell me their kids love coming here, the positive experience, like that part of it keeps me going for sure. Cause I mean, you played sports, like you could probably think of like those coaches who you connect with on a deeper level, you know that they cared about you as a person first. And for me too, with you know with kids, I train some adults as well. Sports is a smaller part of our life, right? Like I
Yeah.
want them to just have that like positive relationship with exercise, not just for the, you know, 4 years of high school that they may play sports, you know, or less or more, whatever. It's like have the positive relationship with exercise for the rest of your life because it's something that you're going to want to continue on no matter where your path takes you in your life. And that part of it is super important to me, just continuing that message of health beyond, you know, the athletics is it's a small part.
Yeah, it's super important. I mean, and it's always good to have a coach that's in your corner, not just like for the sports performance side of things, but you know that cares about who you are. Like, what do you want to do outside of sports? Like, what is like getting to know them on a deeper level. And I can think back to the coaches I had that I used to love. You know, just you know being able to chop it up with them and talk to them on a regular basis. But you know, if we talk more about like the business side of things, what is it like? You know, on the onboarding process for you when you're getting not only just like new athletes, but like new clients to come in? Like, what are you screening for? What are you looking for? And what does that process go like?
Yeah, so typically like people come in, just we have an initial meeting kind of talking about usually almost all of what I do is word of mouth. I don't really, I mean, I post on Instagram and social media and stuff like that, but it's a lot of word of mouth on people who are coming in. Talk to them about, you know, who sent them, stuff like that, and then talking about goals, what they've done in the past. If it's like an adult, I'm definitely really trying to figure out their exercise history, stuff like that. And then we go through like an initial movement assessment, just seeing like, hey, how do you move in some basic movement patterns, stuff like that. On the athlete side of things, it's super similar, talking about like, hey, why are you here? And it's not just like because I want to get bigger and faster. They all do. I want to know, you know, what's the reason why you're trying to do that extra? Because again, it helps me connect with them on that deeper level. Like if a kid comes in and is like, hey man, I want to be all conference this year, like I'm gonna be able to use that as, hey, you told me when we first met you wanted to be all conference. You haven't shown up for a week. Like what's up? Because those aren't the actions of somebody who's an all conference type player. You know what I'm saying? And it's just
Yeah.
something that I can to connect with them deeper. And then again, we go through like an initial movement assessment with those athletes. And then we do some testing. So speed, vertical agility. We utilize, you know, lasers, the shred mill and the vert mat to do all that. So got some tech that is super valuable to help as far as the metrics go.
Yeah, I mean, I saw you invested in the shred mill,
Yeah.
and I obviously know Matt Gates and Tony Vellani pretty closely because I trained underneath Matt when I was training to go to the league, and
Yeah.
I got to know Tony a little bit in the meantime while I was doing that. And I visit them pretty much every year. Every time I'm in the country, like I'm like, oh, I got to go down to XP, got to
Yeah.
check them out, see what they're doing. What made you decide to get a shred mill, and how has a shred mill like enhanced your performance of your athletes and tracking speed and teaching them how to properly run and accelerate and all that stuff?
Yeah, dude, it's been a game changer. So Since I've been in my facility, this is now our third summer. And so that first year, we got in here in the summer, went, fall, we had our football guys, did okay. Some basketball guys did okay. And then track season came, and I think that year we had nine kids make it to state. My boys four by one relay, one state. They took gold. I had a girls hurdler take silver in the 1 and the 300 hurdles. Boys triple jumper take third. So I mean, I had some like good success. What I saw after that, I had a male sprinter who took second in the 100 meter. What I really saw is that I was able to, just based off of like logistics of how big of a facility I had, we could crush acceleration. So like wall right here to wall down here is like 23 and a thirds yards. So I could hammer acceleration. Um, I could get a kid really dialed on their start. I got, really good at it. Again, I started in a garage, so I really had to get good at it.
Hmm.
I didn't have any other option. You know what I'm saying? So I had to really learn acceleration mechanics, stuff like that. But I really wanted to start to, as that, next track season approach, I really wanted to just take it to like another level. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted my kids to get faster. Obviously, the shred mill is great for acceleration, but it's been super valuable to acceleration, transition, form work, like being able to get those guys, on a gear four, video it from the side, teaching them like proper top speed mechanics. It's been such a game changer. And then so we got it. We trained on it for about 6 months before track season. And I'm gonna get this wrong. It's on my Instagram, but I think I want to say 9 gold medals at state track. Boys 100 meter state champ, two 200 meter qualifiers. My girls 4x1 and 4x2, they won state. I had a girl from a different school who her medley took state. I had a boys triple jumper go up a level and he took second at state. All my athletes medaled at state. It like we crushed it. I want to say it was something boys pole vaulter gold medal. I want to say something like 9 gold medals. 11 or 13 kids. All of them hit the podium, and so I attribute a lot of that to the shred mill. You know what I'm saying? Like realistically, just the emphasis on sprint mechanics, um, prioritizing speed. I think it was something that um, we owe, like I owe a big deal of gratitude to Tony for building it because it's sick. And I knew the first time I stepped on that thing, I was like, holy, this thing is crazy. It's cool. It's cool what it does for athletes.
I mean, you can't only just attribute it to the shred mill. I mean, obviously the work that you're doing and know what you're looking for, what you're looking at, how to program it out is also you, man. Like the work that you're doing is tremendous. Like you talk about all these kids getting up there to medal and kind of putting them through the program and looking back at what you did the first year to like, all right, how can I improve and make it better the second year to make sure that more of my athletes are getting on the podium and winning and getting a state medal. But on top of that, like who are some of the coaches and mentors that you look up to in the industry that you're learning from to help, fine tune your own skills and kind of taking bits and pieces from them to implement into your own programs?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, like the easy one is Tony. Like what he's doing as far as like his game speed and agility stuff. Yeah. For my field and court sport guys, it has been really valuable. Tony, Les Spellman, Les his sprint, just anything he puts out is awesome. I went to he actually came to Idaho State, so my alma mater, a couple years ago, and did a clinic, and I went and I mean, in like one day, I felt like I learned so much. I've got a couple of his courses. Tony Holler, just his emphasis on pure sprinting, speed is the tide that lifts all boats is his saying. I think it's something that it's so simple, but I don't know about you, but when I was coming up, like we never focused on speed. We were weight room warriors, and I mean, I went to a high school here in Idaho that it's as far as football goes, like the best, Highland High School.
Yeah, I've heard
State
of it.
championships in school history. Like we're the pinnacle of Idaho high school football, and we really didn't get out there and sprint at all. Like it was bench, squat, hang clean, and I wish I would have had that as an athlete coming up because I was fast. I was, I mean, I was an all-state running back. I wish I would have had that priority of speed and then control of speed. Another guy, Bobby Stroop, his just overall philosophy on movement and in a more 3D way, I think for, football and basketball or all sports really, but just the emphasis on kind of more, movement in different planes and stuff like that is something that we don't see a lot, at least around here. So that's been, those are some of the guys that I really, really try to learn from. Super smart guys for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I come from Florida, so speed is king in Florida, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're not fast in Florida, like you might as well chalk it up and like go do something else, right?
Yeah.
So for us in Florida, like running is like a thing, but I didn't have like speed coaches. It was kind of like, all right, football is over, you go to basketball. Basketball when it's over, you go to track. So like
Yeah.
all my life, like always in sports, but I always ran track. Um, what? Why is it such an importance on speed nowadays? Because I can tell you, speed is king, right? Like
Yeah.
is a game changer. But why for you do you think it's so important, to bring speed to Idaho and harp so much on it?
Yeah, I think, I mean, a lot of what I see is very old school. Like around here, again, it's weight room warriors. Like I see it daily. Like kids are just maxing out on their bench like 3 times a week, and I'm just like, man, if you like, cool, congrats, good job. You know what I'm saying? But when I watch you out on the field, that's not helping you be good at sports. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, again, I wanna see these kids be successful on the field. Being able to create separation, close separation on the field or court is the name of the game. You know what I'm saying? If you look at like another guy, Brian Kula, if you look at his athlete Christian McCaffrey, that
Hmm.
he trains him like a track guy. You know what I'm saying? There's never been anybody I talked to that says, oh, Christian McCaffrey doesn't look like he lifts weights. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying that we don't go lift weights. It's just saying we got to prioritize speed because when we get out on the field, when we get on the court, like that is what you're doing is you're sprinting, you're changing directions, you're closing space, you're creating space, and knowing how to do that is something that it's a game changer, especially at this level when you have kids who we can take and get a big bang for our buck because they're not really doing it elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? And that's super valuable.
No, it's super super important. But how are you and what you're doing at your facility kind of bridging that gap and closing it in and helping, these athletes realize, that you don't always need to lift super heavy. You don't need to be weight room warriors all the time. But like working on the specifics on like mechanics of running and how the shin angles and dorsiflex, like all these different types of things that go into proper running mechanics and getting people to run fast and getting them to realize that like we need to work on like the little things before we kind of get to those, the gimmicky stuff you see on Instagram and all the flashy stuff. How
Yeah.
are you breaking it down to your athletes to get them to buy in and kind of lock in on what you're saying?
Yeah, I think again I go back to my experience and I try to relate to them as like, hey, we can get you pretty strong. You know what I'm saying? Like we can if we spent this summer, like let's say we started in June, football camp. I've got kids who have football camp this next upcoming week. I was like, we could probably add 30, 40 pounds to your squat in that 6 week period. You know what I'm saying? That being said, when you step on the field next week in camp, that's really not going to drive the needle adding that 30 pounds to your squat versus being able to, improve your acceleration, improve your body control. That doesn't mean that your squat didn't get better. That doesn't mean that we didn't, train your legs. The buy-in part of it, just trying to, relate to them and be like, I wish I would have had this, man. Like, I wish that someone would have been like, hey, I think that you're working hard in the weight room, but I think when we need to get you, you know, teaching you how to accelerate, how to, decelerate, how to change directions efficiently and effectively, what a decel looks like and coming into if you worked at XB or with Matt, Like you probably know, getting into the, the wide base or a break plan, how your speed into that dictates that. I wish I would have had that. And so trying to speak to them about that, I think really, really helps. I also think I mean, this is kind of goofy to say, but like when they look at me, like I'm 5'7", 200 pounds. I, I've got, these big, powerful legs. And when I'm saying, hey, like what we do over here on the weights doesn't matter as much as what we do over there, I think that they trust that because you know what I'm saying? Like I can go over there and, um, I can lift the heaviest weight, but when I was squatting 450 pounds, my vert was like 30 inches, right? I haven't back squatted for 3 years and I jumped 42.6. And then showing them like, hey, this doesn't translate to this. Like they start to buy in a little bit more. And along the way, give them a little bit of the stuff that they want. Cause I was 16 years old once too. I know what it's like to want to, crush my arms and do that kind of thing. And so, not being, anti strength, but just, prioritizing speed, I guess is a better way to look at it.
Nah, for sure. I mean, you work with a lot of youth people, and a lot of people in the youth space. If you look back to, like you said, 16-year-old yourself, and then even the newer coaches getting started in this industry and trying to navigate their own path, what would be, some of your top advice you would give them, and what would you tell them, like 15, 16-year-old Coach Michael, like what would you like looking at your age now and looking back, like what would you tell them?
Man, just try to. That's a good question. I never think it was a lack of like effort on my part. Again, I had success at the high school level. I had opportunities to go play at the next level. I didn't take those, and then looking back, always wonder what if that's hard. For me, it was never a lack of effort. I think it was like what are you prioritizing, that kind of thing. And so me and my friends, like we got after it, in the weight room, in our training and stuff like that. If I saw my buddy get like a gallon water bottle and show up to weights with it, I went next day and I got my gallon water bottle. And then I saw someone else the next day bring like we were super competitive as far as that goes. If my friend, went up on an exercise as far as weight goes, like I'm going up on weight as far as that exercise goes. So it wasn't a lack of effort. It was just what are we prioritizing? Kind of that is based off, situation at the time. We just did what we were asked, and I get that. But I always wish that there would have been, more at the time. Like Instagram and social media isn't what it is now, so the information wasn't as readily available, like it is now. We didn't have people like we mentioned before who have courses, you know what I'm saying, who we could go learn from. And I think that would have been pretty cool. As far as like, did you ask about advice to younger coaches? Sorry, I think I
Yeah,
might have.
like nah, you're good, bro. You answered. But then like the other part was like to newer coaches or younger coaches kind of getting started in the industry and kind of trying to reach success like you have. What would you tell them?
Just get experience and like whatever that might look like. So for me, it was, getting thrown into it, but it's just like if I had to start over, let's say I didn't have that situation that I had, and I know what I know now, I would just try to get in front of as many people as possible and do it. Like you're like the books and the research and all that stuff is awesome. It's valuable. I get that. But I have learned way more from being in front of people, seeing it play out, trying things on myself, trying things with athletes and stuff like that, and the implementation of it and stuff like that. Like you're gonna get so much more from actually coaching people than you are anywhere else. So whatever opportunity you can present for yourself, go intern for somebody for free. Cause I mean, I did that too. Um, the more opportunities you can get yourself in front of people, working on communicating with them, teaching stuff, like the more confident, comfortable you're going to get. And then you really start to refine that process, but you have to start.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part for every coach is like swallowing your pride, swallowing that ego, and just kind of like going into something. Like sometimes you have to do the job that you want to do for free first before you actually get the job that you want paid for. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think it's hard nowadays, especially when everything is so quick, fast paced. Like I can just go build up an Instagram and hopefully get some people to buy into my programming and whatever I'm doing. But if you actually want to be successful and like you are and the other coaches that you mentioned, right? Like it takes time, right? And
Oh yeah.
that's a hard pill to swallow, man. Like how many, and you never know how long you have to do it for.
Yeah.
And that can be tricky, man. And I know what it's like. I mean, I'm just retiring from playing and like just
Yeah.
now getting back into the field and seeing what everything is like, man, it can be tough, right? Who did you lean on during that times that you did, get a little tough and like feel like is there an end to the means?
Yeah, so like my wife was like my rock early on for sure. Sorry, get a little emotional. But yeah, like I
Nah, it's
remember,
dope, bro.
yeah, there was one time like pretty early on, again, like my son was just born. I was starting out. I mean, I was training some people, nothing like I'm at now. And I just remember like coming home and I just like broke down one time.
You here for you, coach, man. Take your time, bro.
Yeah, dude. I just remember like that was really, really important for sure. At the time, again, figuring out like fatherhood initially, like I talked briefly about I had opportunity to, go play at the next level and I didn't. My like sophomore year of college, I started reaching back out to coaches about that. And by that time, the opportunities were gone. It was like I got recruited my senior year. I waited a year and a half to reach back out, and then I had that regret. And so going back to when times got tough, starting out on my business, I never wanted to like look my son in the eye and be like, man, like I have these regrets about my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm gonna have to at one point, when he comes up through, if he wants to whatever it is he wants to do. But if it's like sports related, if he wants to go play at the next level, me having that regret, I'm gonna have to speak on, teach him like, hey, I didn't take that chance on myself. Like that's a hard one. And I never wanted him to, look up to me and be like, dad's one of those guys who always talks about like what could have been, should have been, like that just kept me going.
Man. So man, like I'm new into the dad game too because I got a 2-year-old daughter and I feel you, bro. If anyone can sit here and give you your flowers, bro, I'll be the first one to tell you, bro. Like what you're doing is awesome. Like you should live with no regrets, bro. Because like maybe it didn't work out for you, but you're leading the path for the next generations, right? You're showing them what it takes to get to that level. You're showing them, how it would be like if you didn't take a chance on yourself and bet on yourself. And then shout out to your wife, man, for being a rock there for you, in those tough times and supporting you through it all, man. Like again, I'm still trying to learn fatherhood, right? I'm the same
Yeah,
as you, bro. Like trying to figure out like what is the path and what is the legacy I'm gonna leave that's gonna make my daughter proud. The same way you are with your son, man. Like, and I can tell you, bro, like he's gonna look up to this, and hopefully one day he'll look back at this podcast and like be like, bro, like my dad was a real one. Like it takes a lot to come on here and just like be vulnerable, be emotional with it all, and like just like speak your truth, bro. Like so,
yeah,
kudos to you, dog. You know what I mean? Like don't ever waver from it. Don't ever think that what
yeah,
you're doing is any less, dog. Because like I'm proud of you. Man, you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like if
Appreciate it, man.
anyone ain't nobody told you today, I'll be the first one to tell you, bro, I'm proud of you, dog.
Appreciate it,
Like
man. Yeah.
what you got going on is dope. But before we get out of here, bro, we've got our last segment of the day. It's the 60-second round. It's
Uh-oh.
one word answers all across the board. You ready for it, man?
I think so. Let's get it.
Here we go. 60 seconds on the clock. What is your favorite post workout snack?
Ooh, peach rings.
Favorite sport?
Football.
Dream vacation spot?
Maui.
Dream car? Guilty pleasure food?
My wife's cookies.
Favorite movie genre?
Action.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Would you rather be in a ring with a gorilla, tiger, or a bear?
None of them, man. I don't want any part of that.
And last one, what's your number one flaw as a coach?
It's still communication. Hey, I think. Do we got longer time? I'll go on to
Go
this real
ahead,
quick.
bro. Yeah.
I've been having a guy come shoot my content for me. It's helped me just put my phone down. It's given me, time back with my family, stuff like that. I noticed still, as far as communication goes, I'm way better than I was, but I still have work to do. When I watch the videos and stuff like that, I see things that I want to work on, and it's going to help me communicate to the people in front of me better. And so that's still something that I always want to be able to communicate more effectively, get the point across, to the person in front of me in a way that they're going to understand. And there's always work to be done as far as that goes.
I love it, Coach Mike. Man, we appreciate you coming on here today. We appreciate all the knowledge you drop. And most importantly, bro, I appreciate you being vulnerable, bro, and speaking your whole truth, right? And letting it all out, dog. So thank you, man, for your time.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you. This is awesome what you guys are doing. This is really cool. Connecting with coaches, having the discussions and stuff like that. So thank you guys for having me on. This is cool.
For sure, bro. And we're out.